Kenny and Tom were there.
Good afternoon. The meeting will now come to order. Hello, I am Tyra Battaglia, President of the Board of Education. I would like to welcome you to the August 13th, 2025 board meeting. In keeping with the board's commitment to open communication with the community, this meeting is being streamed live on the CCPS website at www.carrollk12.org and broadcast live on Channel 21. We are also recording this meeting so that it can be accessed on demand on our website and broadcast throughout the month on Channel 21. Public participation will be held at approximately 5:15 p.m. following the report section of the board meeting agenda. Speakers will be directed into the boardroom from the lobby and be allowed 3 minutes to address the board. As a reminder, please silence all cell phones and other devices. Board members, please turn off your microphones when you are not speaking, and please use your cards to be called upon. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. May I please have an approval of the agenda? Moved by Dr. Malvo.
I'll second.
And second by Dr. Dorsey. All those in favor?
Aye.
May I please have an approval of the minutes from the July 16th, 2025 meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Dorsey. Second by Ms. Zimmer. All those in favor?
Aye.
And we will now hear from our Carroll County Student Government Report. Mr. Dean, good to see you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mason Dean, a senior at Winters Mill High School and the president of the Carroll County Student Government Association. This month, CCSGA has held executive board meetings to begin planning for upcoming events to include our advanced retreat at the Outdoor School campus and the Fall General Assembly at Westminster High School. We have selected a date for our advanced retreat, Thursday, August the 28th. This retreat is our first major event of the year, with activities including goal sharing from the executive board, workshop presenter certification, and team building activities with an outdoor school instructor, Ms. Ferguson. Next month, CCSGA will begin the school year ready to learn and develop, and will continue to prepare for our first General Assembly in October. Thank you all so much for your time. Have a great evening, and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Dean, and good luck on your senior year. All right, our next item on the agenda is board member activities and correspondence. We'll start with Dr. Malvo.
All right, thank you for that. Here is a report of some of the month's events. I thoroughly enjoyed time at the Carroll County 4-H and FFA Fair in Westminster, particularly on the date of the 30th of July. It was a bit disappointing that the horse pull was canceled, but with the excessive heat, it was definitely the right choice. There were plenty of other events, though, to enjoy, including the Market Swine Show and the huge auction of cakes and desserts at the annual bake sale. A highlight was seeing the sale of two of the desserts provided by friends of our family who raised over $3,000 to go towards the Carroll County 4-H and FFA. On August the 7th, I gathered with my hometown community and friends for fun at the Hampstead Volunteer Fire Company Carnival. There was a lot of good food, music, rides, and games that provided plenty of opportunities to support our local organizations and businesses. Just a great day. This month has also afforded me the opportunity to support a number of our local camps through through my son's participation, who, like many of our CCPS students, are looking to get involved in something unique and some fun activities while the summer break's going on and the time that's left. For one, there was the Skill Tree Center's Performing Arts Camp from July 21st through July 25th. It took place at the Hampstead War Memorial Amphitheater And the camp brought a great week of creativity, teamwork, and performances as campers engaged in pre-planned activities to prepare for an end-of-camp talent show, which turned out to be very inspiring and fun. Also, from August 4th through August 8th, there was the Coppermine Sportsman's Hall, which provided a highly energetic skate camp. And in addition, from August 11th through 22nd, Church of the Ascension in Westminster will be providing theater camp. The featured play is Totally Red, a unique retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, using melodrama, Shakespearean background, 80s hip-hop, and avant-garde. The camp will finish with a final performance showcasing the youth's hard work and creativity. Best of luck to the performers. And to close, I just want to wish safety to everybody in the county as you attempt to get that final vacation time in. Be careful on the highways. And I look forward to seeing everyone back in school next month. Unless, of course, I see you first at the store as we rush to get those last-minute school supplies. But in any case, be well. Thank you.
Dr. Dorsey.
Okay, on July 17th, I attended a meeting of the MABE Conference Program Committee. We continued refining plans for this year's conference. Registration opened on June 3rd, and at the time of our meeting, there were 60 registrants. We're anticipating around 200 persons to attend, including board members, superintendents, student representatives, and MABE and board staff. So I think we have some of our board members registered to attend, and I'm pretty excited about that. On July 17th, I attended a MABE Equity Committee meeting. At that meeting, we continued planning for the remarketing of equity and reclaiming the fact that equity is for all. On July 21st, I attended the MABE Legislative Committee meeting. At that meeting, we reviewed the status of federal funding. We received legal and policy service updates and discussed priorities for 2026, which include sustaining the blueprint for Maryland's future. MABE will certainly be advocating for collaboratively reviewing the blueprint's mandates and provisions to identify practical solutions for effective implementation. And just this morning, August 13th, I attended the orientation of our comprehensive new teacher mentor program at the Career and Technology Center. This program is the product of much planning and partnering with Towson University, and certainly this has been led by our superintendent, McCabe, Mr. O'Neill, Mr. Shockney, and I know that there are others who are involved in this wonderful program as well. It was great to be in Dr. Grasmick's presence. She continues to be very inspirational. She shared insightful words of wisdom and encouragement at the beginning of our meeting. And there were quite a few takeaways from this morning. I'll just share a couple. First, the needs of the beginning teachers will be addressed through this model comprehensive new teacher induction program. And certainly, as the new teachers' needs are being addressed, secondly, we know that our students will benefit from all of the resources that will be poured into these teachers to support student achievement. This program, interestingly, targets students from pre-K through 20, and next it brings a positive value to Blueprint. And finally, the mentor teachers, as they were involved this morning in the orientation, they were involved in a team building activity as they shared their pathways to CCPS and reflected on their own first years of teaching. And I was sitting at a table just waiting to see if we were going to have a turn to share our pathways and our remembrances of our first years, but it didn't extend that far. It probably was a good thing. It probably would have added too many more minutes to the packed session already. So hopefully, during the course of this first year, we as board members can receive feedback on how the program is doing or is going as it's being implemented. So it's very exciting, and again, I know the new teachers themselves are exciting, and they bring their own energy. But it was great to see the energy of these mentor teachers as they are going to be paired with the new teachers that they will be working with. So it's such an exciting program, and thanks Dr. McCabe and Mr. Shockney and Mr. O'Neill for your parts in bringing it to Carroll County. In fact, I hear them talk about it being replicated throughout the state as we get this off the ground here. So again, it's pretty exciting. And finally, I'll just say that I hope that everyone will enjoy the remaining weeks of summer break and be ready to start our new school year. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Dorsey. Ms. Simmer?
Thank you. I will be short and sweet this month. On Tuesday, July 29th, me and my children attended the Carroll County 4-H Fair to see the animals and to visit the Children's Day activities. And this morning, I, along with Dr. Dorsey, attended the new comprehensive new teacher induction program. So I won't repeat all of the wonderful things that Dr. Dorsey mentioned, but the collaboration does ensure that our teachers entering CCPS receive high-quality training, research-based support, as well as personalized mentoring. It'll also strengthen our teacher pipeline and investment in long-term student success. And I think what I find to be the most important part is that it means that our teachers will feel supported, they'll feel confident and ready to thrive, which will directly impact the quality of education and opportunities that we can provide for the students that we serve every day. I'd also like to wish everyone a good rest of the summer and rest up before those first days of school coming up.
Thank you, Ms. Zimmer. Mr. Whistler?
Thank you very much. On June 21st, I also attended the Maryland Association of Boards of Education Legislative Committee meeting, along with Dr. Dorsey. And in addition to what she mentioned, we discussed, planning schedule and preparing for the upcoming legislative session at the General Assembly. Lots going on, and they're working early to ensure that we communicate our needs to our legislators in Annapolis. On June 28th, I accepted an invitation by Antietam Broadband to attend their ribbon cutting ceremony in Westminster. Other elected officials attended to help welcome a new Flight Fiber office to our region. This organization was really instrumental in bringing robust internet connectivity to students in Washington County. So it was interesting hearing those stories on how they helped Washington County grow and better equip their students for success. And I hope to do the same thing here for our students in Carroll County. I too attended the 4-H and FFA Fair in Westminster on two dates. First on July 30th, on Wednesday, and then on Saturday, August 2nd. As is the case every year, Carroll County's youth just shined. I mean, they showed their talents, their skills, and I was fortunate enough to stay within my wife's budget and have a winning bid on a cake Wednesday night. And our family really enjoyed the demolition derby on Saturday. And again, if you don't get a chance to visit the FFA Fair, you need to. It is just a great way to invest in our kids, and a great way to see just how much talent we have here in our county. And then finally, I want to congratulate the Boys and Girls Clubs of Carroll County for receiving a $400,000 grant from the Maryland Consortium on Coordinated Community Supports and the Maryland Community Health Resources Commission. This grant, which is connected with Blueprint, will help them do even more for the several hundred students they serve in 17 schools in our county. So they are true partners, helping our schools throughout Westminster, Hampstead, Sykesville, and Taneytown. And I hope our students and educators alike are excited about returning to school. I want to say a sincere thanks to our administrators and our maintenance personnel for working so hard to prepare every facility in our system. I don't think the public realizes just how much work goes into preparing for the next school year, and they're doing everything they can to make it even better. I cannot wait to welcome many of you back personally to school on September 2nd. As is the case every year, I'll park myself in front of an elementary, middle, and high school to welcome everybody back. But it's going to be a great year thanks to our terrific staff, our superintendent, and our educators. Thank you.
Thank you. The last week of July, much like many the board members here, I spent at the Carroll County 4-H and FFA fair as a club leader, as a mom, and as a volunteer. I want to congratulate everyone that participated at another great fair. It was definitely a hot one, but so many came out to support the program. From the cake auction to the animal showmanships, the scholarship award ceremony, the alumni shows, which was very just that was so crazy. So an alumni was nominated. It was $20 to nominate somebody. The alumni would have to pay $100 if they wanted out of it. So it was interesting to see first-year alumni to 30-year alumni 4-Hers showing either a goat, a lamb, a pig, or cattle. And it was so funny because some of them were like, I haven't done this in 30 years. And them trying to hold a lamb and like keep its head up and like stand upright. It was great. It was just a wonderful way for them to raise money. The livestock auction, of course, was successful. And I want to thank all the volunteers that came out to the fair. I know CCEA was there, we're dipping ice cream. The fair is volunteer run. And there's lots of kids that come out and volunteer to get their service hours. You have parents who literally, this is their vacation time. And that is what they spend at the fair, is that week vacation. And other adults within the community that come out and help out. So now it is time to prepare for next year. And of course, there's already discussions in my household because this will be my son's last year coming up. And so there's already, I want a steer, I want a goat. I'm like, oh, okay, that's money. Let's just calm down for 1 second and we'll get there. As we prepare for the new school year, now is the perfect time to get those school schedules ironed out. So earlier bedtimes, times they need to wake up, and even possibly their lunch schedules, because they will get hungry during the day. So let's try to get them on their regular lunch schedule. Also check with your school's website for any back-to-school supply lists, and many of them are posted under the parent resources. To the class of 2026. This is it. This is your senior year. This year makes another milestone in my family for my son. He is the middle child, and he will be graduating this year. We've already done our senior portraits and ordered them. Emails have already started regarding their senior activities. And to the seniors, do the activities. These are the little tiny moments that you'll never forget. Whether it's a crab feed, senior sunrise, don't pass them up. And to the mom and dads, we're going to remember every single moment from the last first day of school. Parents and guardians, please make sure when you're posting pictures of the first day of school, you are mindful of the information you're sharing on social media. I know many of our law enforcement Facebook pages have been trying to make sure they're letting the public know what is the best thing to post about the first day versus what not to post. So check those out. And if anybody is a Taylor Swift fan, the next era is apparently here, and I foresee that our school year is going to be filled with sparkly orange and mint green. So I know we're going to be seeing a lot of our girls and boys around wearing their Tay attire. But I do hope everyone has a wonderful first day of school, and here we are. It's here. It goes by fast.
This evening, I would like to congratulate Emily Muller, agri-science and technology education teacher at Winters Mill High School. Emily has received the Outstanding FFA Program Award presented by the Maryland Agricultural Teachers Association. The MATA Professional Awards are designed to recognize the accomplishments of outstanding agricultural educators within the areas of an agricultural education program in the classroom, FFA, and supervised agricultural experience. The FFA category is focused on chapter accomplishments and involvement in FFA activities. As two of the board members already mentioned, Carroll County Public Schools has been working with Towson University to create a multi-year new teacher induction program. And to celebrate, I and some of my colleagues are proudly wearing their black and gold today. This morning, we had the pleasure of welcoming Dr. Nancy Grasmick, Presidential Scholar at Towson University, and the mentors hired by Towson for an orientation at the Career and Technology Center. These mentors will support our new teachers by providing guidance as they start their careers in education. The new mentorship program, which is part of the Blueprint for Maryland's Future, will enhance teacher retention, improve professional learning, and support teachers beginning at our new teacher orientation, which kicks off tomorrow. I can't believe our new teachers are already coming back. Well, are already starting. Thank you, Dr. Grasmick, Towson University, the mentors, and the school system staff who have helped make this program a reality. We look forward to seeing some great results. With the first day of school rapidly approaching, I would like to thank all of our employees for their hard work over the summer to ensure that our schools are ready for students on the first day of school. We can't wait to welcome our new teachers for their orientation program, which begins tomorrow. We are also excited to welcome back our returning teachers on August 25th as they participate in professional learning and prepare for the new school year. And most of all, we are looking forward to greeting our students on the first day of school on September 2nd. I hope that everyone has a great school year.
Thank you, Dr. McCabe. All right, next on the agenda, we have our presentations for Blueprint Update. Dr. McCabe.
Mr. O'Neill has a monthly Blueprint Update presentation. And also I wanted to share that I have been asked to be part of a panel at the Summer Mako Conference on Friday. The panel that I am on will provide updates on experiences with Blueprint implementation, and I'm sure will also include the process we went through to obtain our waiver. So as Mr. O'Neill gets started on our update, I'd also like to add that as we do our Blueprint updates each month, our presentations, we will also try to highlight an academic area that is impacted by our Blueprint plan. Mr. O'Neill?
Thank you. Good evening. Tonight, for our Blueprint report, we did want to sort of catch you up on where the work is post-waiver from the fiscal compliance waiver. I'm not sure what that means. I think it was celebratory though. And we don't want this to slip from your radar or the public's radar because we don't want to show up later, and I would anticipate more in the fall timeline with sort of an outcome, and so we do want to give reports, updates where we can, but at this point it's still ongoing work, and so just want to highlight some of the themes we've touched on in the past. The work with the AIB's consultants, which is a firm called APA, or APA Consulting, began really as the waiver process was underway and has continued ongoing since then. The work goes on every day. We meet with them on a bi-weekly time frame for collaboration and updates, and I would say that most likely we're probably looking at sort of a fall, mid-fall timeline for maybe a final report, although at this point that's a bit of a projection on my part. I did want to highlight kind of the middle section of this slide because it's you don't want to tease it too much, but I do want to continue to convey that our experience working with the AIB's consultants has been very, very positive and reaffirming. And so the work has focused largely on initially data sharing and data analysis, but largely the analysis has focused on the concept of what is required to run any school, with or without Blueprint, within or without the conditions of Blueprint. What are the core things needed for a school to operate in a successful way? And if you think back to Dr. McCabe's town halls preceding, Dr. McCabe's points that she made during the waiver process to the AIB, that was really the theme, is that, yeah, we need to realign resources to comply, and we know that, but I just want to be sure and careful that the resources that remain in every school are sufficient to the school. And so, to us, that's a big point, that's where the focus has been early on, that they have recognized what we have been saying. and wanting us to understand their perspective on that and what methodologies they may bring to bear, as opposed to, or in addition to the methodology that we used as a local committee in developing that initial report. And so really, really good news, really positive energy. We're speaking the same language. We're focused on the same important things. And so we think, like Mr. Shockney and I, for instance, think that this is trending in a very positive way and hopefully will be a much more agreeable outcome when there is an outcome than where we left off back in the winter with our plan. And then the next most important part of this is this theory of, or this concept of coding, which means accounting for expenditures at the school level. And so those two sub-bullets should be thought of in concert. What is the model for successful schools? But then, what resources that exist in schools can be properly coded in an accounting way so that they do meet the requirements of Blueprint. Because there are places where we believe we have resources in place that meet the spirit of Blueprint, but there is sort of a mechanical or a technical process to figure out as to how to show that in a monthly accounting report to the state that those resources are serving the need as envisioned by Blueprint. So those two things together is where the focus has been. And again, I would think somewhere later in the fall of the calendar year, I say later in the fiscal year, I'm thinking maybe the November-ish timeframe, I think we'll start to see a report, and that report will inform our ongoing work in terms of meeting the conditions of the waiver and meeting the compliance requirements. This graphic on this slide, I'm not going to go through it. I think it's a pretty handy graphic that Angie McCausland, our county Blueprint coordinator, put together that captures the conditions that the AIB put in place when they approved our waiver by fiscal year. And so there are those conditions, and those last couple of sub-bullets that I was speaking about from the prior slide really are in that 25, 26 window of time. They're captured there for comp ed and multilingual learners. The fact of building a methodology that looks differently at a base school, and then figuring out the ways from an accounting standpoint to make those reports show what the folks at the state need to see for Blueprint requirement. And so you see fiscal 26, 27, and 28, I would say it's still early, but where we sit right now working with the consultants, I think we're very much on a place where we will meet this timeline. And I'm feeling pretty good about that. So there's an update on where the work has been. Dr. McCabe mentioned she'll be at Mako on Friday, and I think these might be some of the themes she'll be talking about. Given the update I've tried to just provide, there seems to be a suggestion that the outcome of that process, and we all know that was a tough process to go through in the winter and spring. That being said, where we sit now, there does seem to be a true opportunity for a win-win here between the state of Maryland officials in charge of Blueprint and our school system, that there has been true collaboration, that there has been a drive towards common knowledge, common understanding, and the promise right now that the outcomes, I think, will be a much more agreeable outcome that sort of does blend that. Here's the theory of Blueprint, or as they like to call it, the theory of action of Blueprint, and here's the actual practice in a local school system in our case, and this is what it can look like. I think the work that they're doing with us may in turn inform their best practices for other school systems around the state, and so it's always nice to kind of contribute to the greater good, and we'll take that. Once you have the ability to get the breathing room and the pause of a waiver and not sort of rush into those things we were planning to implement last year, it gives Mr. Shockney and his folks in the instructional realm time to really take a pause and reconsider other newer promising practices for service delivery for the different student populations in Blueprint. And in general, and this might get to what the superintendent said, which I'm going to touch on again, we want to give you updates on the Blueprint waiver process and outcomes as appropriate and keep you in the loop. But there's a lot more to the Blueprint that we haven't had an ability to spend a lot of time on with you because so much focus has been here. And there are things about the Blueprint we may never fully philosophically agree with every other county or every state official, but there's a lot of positive that comes out of the work of the blueprint for our students. And sometimes there's strains to fund that, there's no doubt, but it doesn't also mean that a lot of the work of blueprint isn't making a meaningful difference for our students. And so these monthly updates in between key updates on the waiver, we want to take as an opportunity to talk about some of the other work going on with blueprint that typically we haven't been able to share with you. Other things in terms of compliance with the state at the state level, in the past, you might remember that usually around March of each year, we would be rushing to bring to you a final blueprint implementation plan that was required by the AIB, which is a very large 90-some page template before it's filled in document. The state has made what we view as a very positive decision to stop the practice of requiring a new comprehensive implementation plan each and every year. And in lieu of that, the plan we submitted last March, and every school system submitted last March, will remain in effect for a 3-year window of time. And in those 3 years, this being year one of that 3-year window of time, each local education agency or school system will have a progress monitoring process with the AIB. And so we will meet with a team of folks from the AIB staff, from MSDE staff, members of the appointed AIB board itself, and we'll sort of talk about some of the key strategies and the outcomes that we're seeing in all parts of the blueprint. Fiscal compliance would be one of those, but in all of those other areas of the blueprint as well. And so we're looking very much forward to that change in process as well, and a chance to have a true dialogue with our colleagues at the state level. And Carroll County, as it should be, has been selected to be the first county in Maryland to go through the progress monitoring process. And that was mutual. That wasn't imposed. That was something that we sought as well. So we're looking forward to that. So back to the theme of future updates, we will certainly bring you key updates on the waiver process whenever we should and can. But in the interim, we would also like to share some of the other things that are going on with progress monitoring or with other parts of the blueprint. And the plan at this point would be for your September meeting, we very much would like to focus on Pillar 2 of the blueprint, which has to do with staffing. And I think we'll have Mr. Diaz present on a few things, but one of those things would be this much mentioned this evening partnership with Towson University on a teacher induction program, which by the way, also the partnership is a strong partnership between the system and Towson, but it also has very much been supported by the AIB. And I think it would be important that we share the role that they've had in supporting this getting off the ground. And then from there, we're still sort of mapping out a plan for the subsequent months after September. But our desire would be when we give you a report, so for instance in September when we do a Pillar 2 report, we'll forecast to you which focus area we intend to bring in October and November and so forth, so that you'll have kind of an ongoing look as to what we hope to update you on. So I think that's it. We'll pause for any questions or discussion.
Oh, my. All right. I'll start with Dr. Melvin. We'll move up. Go ahead, Dr. Melvin.
Yep. It's great news. Thank you, John, and the staff and everybody who's taken all the work and what was, a difficult winter and getting to the point of blueprint and having this waiver. And now you all are taking it the next step. Your work with AIB and APA and so forth. I just want to thank you and the staff for carrying this forth. And I sort of have a question in this. Maybe you could explain a little bit more, talk a little bit more about this. I like this plan to no longer submit annually the local comprehensive blueprint implementation plan. You've moved to this review where there's mentoring conferences and so forth. How was that prompted, or was that, because I know Carroll's been, a leader in this effort, but how did that get prompted, and what do you expect from that?
I think the AIB has taken a lot of feedback. So there's the AIB, which is the appointed governance body. There's staff who work at the AIB and for the AIB. Then the AIB has multiple advisory committees. So they have at least 5 advisory committees. There's 5 pillars of blueprint, and so there's an advisory committee for each of the 5 pillars, which is an array of lay folks, of educators, of parents, of other people just generally across the state who would like to be part of the thinking and the work. I think over time they have come to understand, as we all have, that yeah, there needs to be a compliance and a way to measure it, but sometimes when you're producing an over 100-page report each and every year, the work might be more about the completion of the report and the turning in of the report rather than sort of taking a deeper dive into the work that is reflected from the report. And so I think it just kind of grew mutually, Dr. Malvo. There are so many blueprint meetings that happen every week. And every Tuesday there is a blueprint coordinators meeting. So each of the county's blueprint coordinators in the state, others of us sometimes join in, but Ms. McCausland in our case is there every Tuesday for that meeting. There's a lot of articulation, there's a lot of feedback, and this idea derived from it. And I think it's a positive both ways. I think the AIB recognized that there needs to be, that it would be more helpful, I think, for there to be a chance for a discussion, an interactive discussion where we can highlight things we think are going very well in Pillar 2 or whatever, and we can highlight things that we think are challenges, and they can interact with that and ask questions. And also because they're overseeing the state, that gives them the opportunity in that instance to say to us, well, if you're seeing this as a challenge, we also heard from this other county that they're doing this in that area. So there's sort of a clearinghouse of ideas that can flow across the state as well. I think it came out organically. I think it's, this is an evolution. They're forming a staff and figuring this out too as it evolves, just like we do here. And I think you're starting to see some of that come together.
Great, thank you for that.
Dr. Dorsey?
Now, I just wanted to make a couple of comments concerning the one slide for the showing the opportunities moving forward, just to congratulate you all for this win-win outcome. I mean, that is just very, very important. So I know a lot of hard work has gone into making that a possibility for us. And then it may have been mentioned before, but I just sort of picked up on it. This next to the last bullet, where we're looking at the at-promise student populations. And as I was looking at that terminology, I just thought, gee, this is just a wonderful shift. Anytime we can shift from a negative perspective to a positive perspective when describing any of our student populations, it's very positive. So I was glad to see that term, at-promise student.
Yes, ma'am. And that's state terminology that we're trying to adopt and reflect. I would say, Dr. Dorsey, that the slide suggests a win-win, so if it turns out later to not be, not be perceived as such, I'm teasing with you.
We're at the cusp, I think.
We are there, I think, yeah. And and so for that, the bullet you highlight, to give an example, and this isn't where it necessarily will land, but instead of just having to necessarily shift some resources next year and go through the work of making that happen, let's say in the area of ESOL or multilingual learners, this interim period of working with APA and having time to pause and reflect gives Mr. Shockney and his folks, Mr. Wernick, et cetera, time to say, okay, what are some other ways we can deliver ESOL services? Not that we change completely how we have delivered ESOL services. Certainly that's not the case. And this is just one example. There could be many. But how can we enhance that? What are some other ways we can do in addition to what we've been doing and make that all fit under the compliance model of Blueprint? So there is that conversation happening as well.
Ms. Zimmer?
I want to echo what Dr. Dorsey said. In the last couple years, there's been a lot of negativity around the Blueprint in Carroll County, and the opportunity to be able to spotlight that our work right now with the AIB, I say your work, your entire team's, Dr. McCabe's work with the AIB may inform best practices across the state. That coupled with Dr. McCabe being invited to sit on the panel at MACO, those are huge strides that show that Carroll County Public Schools is on the forefront of successful implementation. That is such huge, great news after years of, like I said, negativity surrounding Blueprint. So I just really want to tip my hat off to you, Dr. McCabe, Mr. O'Neill, Mr. Shockney, the whole team. And then I wanted to go back a slide, or two slides rather, to the model The base school modeling. And I think I've asked for clarification before. Can you remind me? So when you're building out this base school, let's call it an elementary school. So an elementary school would ideally have the reading specialist, the math specialist, the media specialist. So once this base school is built and sort of codified, then we wouldn't be able to cut those positions if funding for Blueprint weren't there. Am I understanding that correctly?
Sort of. That's not a bad takeaway. It's sort of, the approach was to say, let's just back up. And to your first point, let me just say, you could share that credit with folks at the state level as well, because the waiver process could have been contentious and the outcome could have been controversial, and it hasn't been. They could have showed up and said, fill in these spreadsheets because they're our spreadsheets, and they came in and said, we want to hear what you're saying at the local level and we want to work from there, and that led to this. And so to that question, it's never quite this simple, but it was sort of, we know we're working through this waiver, that's why we're all here, but let's set all of that aside and let's just talk about what do we need in every school for the maximum student achievement. We won't worry about how it's funded or how much of this bucket of money has to go there yet. Let's just talk about those positions that need to be in every school. And these are the consultants that worked with the state on the formula. They didn't just show up now. They've been there for years. They were attached to the Kerwin Commission or the post-Kerwin Commission funding formula work that's now the law. And so we allowed them to show up here with us locally and said, like, we know what's in all of our schools, and it's not always consistent. There are, particularly as we started to use comp ed money, there's more things in some schools now than in others. So let's just go to any school. And you who work all over the country, by the way, not just with the AIB in Maryland, let's talk about what you see as the base model. And then let's see how that compares to what we actually have in Carroll County's public schools. And then if we can get general agreement on what we would all say more or less, okay, we can live with that being what's needed in a base school. Now we can start to unpack the funding. How much of the foundation would be needed to fund this? How much of compensatory ed would be needed to fund it, and so on and so forth. And it does then open an avenue to, I think, what you were getting to. If in a particular school, despite the demographics of the student population, there might not be enough certain type of funding under the funding formula to keep this base model intact, then we need to consider that as part of compliance. There needs to be some awareness of that and some acceptance of that, and that in turn leads to the technical work of what I'm calling coding, of what gets coded to which bucket to meet the spirit and intent of Blueprint from the AIB's lens, if that makes any sense. It's a good thing.
It sounds like a good thing, and I'm very encouraged by that path of thinking so that we don't see ourselves in a situation like we did this spring where we're gutting our Tier 1 schools. So thank you, and I'm encouraged by that.
And I probably should say, because I've been so peppy, I think Celeste would agree, it doesn't mean that there's no change coming. And I've tried to say that in the past, and I will continue to try to say that. There will still be change, but we're not foreseeing at this stage that it's going to be anywhere on the level that we were forecasting a year ago. Okay.
Mr. Whistler.
Yeah, thank you, John. And thank you, Ms. Zimmer, because you raised points that I wanted to raise. And, we were facing those eliminations and those recharacterizations and categorizing of our staff because of the way they were telling us how to spend Blueprint. No, you can't spend these dollars on a media specialist. You have to spend it on a teacher. That's not smart. And so I appreciate you working with the IB to talk about this coding, so that if we can code a media specialist let's do it. Then we're not forced to, to eliminate staff. In Angie's slide, the middle, when you talk about realigning instructional support resources at the secondary level and making required classroom staffing changes, when you come back to us in September, I would really love to know what that really means as far as how many people we might move where, what class sizes will be like because of those moves. And then also, I would love maybe a third column that says to mitigate that, we need this much money. Because again, to Ms. Zimmer's point, when we were doing the budget cycle in the fall, in the winter, what was it? It was some staggering number we needed to not move anybody. I'd like to know what those numbers are, so that, this is what Blueprint is telling us to do. This is how it will impact our schools. And then also, if we had this much money, we wouldn't have to do that. I would love to have those kind of three perspectives when you come back to us in September. And I really want the public to see that. I really want the transparency and the education before our neighbors so that they can see what we're facing.
Sure.
But I would appreciate that if possible.
So that is the ultimate vision here, to get to that place. I would humbly suggest that September's a little premature in this work. We're not there yet. I think that's sort of that November-ish window when we would have a final report. And that, in some ways, that's helpful because it's on the cusp of the budget timeline as well. And so at least it wouldn't be out of sync with that. I can't fully commit to November, but I understand. It's around that window.
Look, I appreciate it. I mean, I think we have discussions all the time. I mean, all of us want transparency. All of us want to educate the public. All of us don't want anything like we saw last time where people were surprised. Like, what? So, but yeah, I appreciate your efforts. I appreciate your efforts with the AIB. And I appreciate them working with us, because if we can recode those things, we don't want to get rid. We don't want to be forced to pull our most valuable support resources our teachers have because somebody in Annapolis is telling us to do it. That's just nonsense. But thank you for your efforts, and I appreciate APA helping us get there.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
No, it's not a question, it's just a comment. We, as we had gotten started with this work, we had been told by 2028, right, we had to be in total compliance. And we said that we would start at the secondary level, which is showing on that middle blurb. And then we'll get to the elementary and then full compliance by 2028. So it goes along with the earlier timelines that you had shared with us.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. And these are, in fact, a synopsis of the conditions that were put in place by the AIB. And certainly we're not going to not meet the conditions of the AIB, and we'll work out details with the staff. I would say that some of these conditions, in particular the ones you referenced, the sequencing of secondary to elementary, reflect the status of things at the time of our waiver request and approval. Our plan at that time laid things out in this sequence. I'm a little bit hopeful, Dr. Dorsey, at this stage that where Nick and I are kind of envisioning this work headed, it might not turn out to be quite so sequentially. It might be more a look at a base school at every level. Okay. And in terms of the school level classroom changes that we were talking about, the base model, the coding will help alleviate that. We might need to rethink the sequence from there in terms of instructional support positions and other changes that would have to take place. And I think they'll be flexible. I think they know that we're working in good faith with them, and they might be flexible once the APA work is done to say, okay, let's take another look at this. If we're going to meet that timeline, maybe even exceed that timeline, does it matter so much that this thing still happened before that thing, because 2 years ago that's what we thought would be the most logical outcome. So
that whole coding process, it sounds like it's pretty intense.
It is.
And time consuming.
I was holding off on that for a future meeting. I think Mr. Whistler prompted my thought a minute ago, or somebody said thank people. There's a lot of people that need to be thanked, not named John O'Neill. And this is turning into a reality of quite a bit of workload for Mr. Rob Burke and his team, and also Mr. Diaz and his team. And so there's something there that we need to think about as a school system. The superintendent will have to ponder that and maybe talk to you at a certain point. It's another job for a budget office of 1, 2, if you want to count the grants.
Yeah, I was just wondering who was doing the job. I mean, it's,
yeah, so
to me it sounds
you've been here for a
again.
while. You know Mr. Drew Sexton. Yeah, it's quite a bit of behind the scenes report, work on spreadsheets and such. Yeah.
And I'll add to what Ms. Zimmer said about the base school model. I don't think anyone at the state level, when this all started, ever intended to take resources like that away from any school. So I think this process of working with the APA will end up helping all of the districts in the state of Maryland who are trying to implement Blueprint, and to ensure that we get the resources where they need to go without having to devastate any particular school or set of schools to do it. Thank you.
All right. We're now moving on to reports. And this is all of our different councils and advisories that we have. Dr. McCabe, if you want to go over that.
Yes, the August meeting each year is when we bring items related to the board-appointed councils. Under reports, we provide the board with the proposed meeting calendars and topics of each of the councils. This applies to the first 7 items under reports tonight, items 4A through 4G. Rather than read each item to you, you can read through that, and we have staff liaisons here who are present in the room to respond to any questions or discussion from board members on any of the council reports.
Mr. Whistler?
I have no question on the reports. I just want to say, in all of our committees across the school system, we have so many parent volunteers, educators giving more of their time than they need to participate. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing that. This is not done alone. And, I brag about Carroll County Public Schools because of how much parent participation we have in our school system. This isn't seen throughout other school districts like it is here. So, but thank you so much for volunteering, for getting involved, and thank you again, educators, for working those extra hours. Those IAs, those support people that like our special ed committees, but just thank you so much for your work. It means a lot.
Mr. Whistler, I completely agree. I don't know of any other school system who advocates as much as we do to have parents included in discussions, in curriculum, in topics, in things that are happening in their schools, in the community. So I think it is really important that we make sure that we try to get the parental involvement as much as possible, and even our student involvement. I mean, we see how involved our students are too in many of these groups that we have in our schools. So thank you again. Any other comments or questions? All right.
I just had a question.
Yes, Dr. Dorsey.
I had a question for the Teacher Advisory Council agenda topics. I see the topics, I'm sorry. I'm just wondering if the meetings have been scheduled. Do you have meeting dates for those yet?
We don't have meeting dates yet,
Okay.
but we should very soon,
Okay.
Dr. Dorsey.
Okay, that was the only thing I wondered.
Dr. Malvo, did you have a question or comment?
Just a comment, and I think all these committees and groups are doing excellent work. I happen to be the board rep for the Special Education Citizens Advisory Committee, and I just really appreciate the language that they use here and what they plan to do moving forth. Continued strong support, open dialogue with educators, families, and the overall community to consider successes and trials that impact students with disabilities. And in addition to their meetings that I've seen these things occurring, I think, I know for me, one of the highlights as a board member was on May 1st, when I happened to go to that committee's recognition ceremony at Winters Mill High School. And just to see that award ceremony where parents of special needs children shared that heartfelt, all those stories that honored the employees who absolutely transformed the lives of their children was just so moving and so amazing. And I'm glad to see that that's going to occur again next May on the 7th. I certainly will attend that, and I encourage those in the Carroll County community to also take part and see that, because it is moving, and it just says a lot about who we are as a county.
All right, anything else? Okay. The next item is 4-H school construction report. Dr. McCabe.
Okay, we have the school construction report next, and I see Mr. Marks sitting in the back of the room. He must have snuck in a few minutes ago for any questions that you might have.
Any questions or comments? I see things are moving along. Drove by Westminster High School yesterday. I was like, ooh, getting pretty. It's being fixed. Dr. Malvo, did you have a question or comment?
Yeah, I had one question, actually. And this is the construction report, correct?
Yeah.
All right, make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself here. I was looking at the report, and that last page, pre-K additions, I noticed that this is the only project without dates in terms of when it'll commence, when it'll complete with work. Is this just due to the breadth of the project with the number of schools involved? I see there's 15 elementary schools, 3 phases, but just trying to understand in terms of, I know that work commencing and completion is not for this one. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the first wave that we're doing now on the pre-K additions will be the 6 schools. They'll start, we're designing them now. We're going through the full design process and funding, and then they will start, next summer. Then those will take, our additions are usually 2 summers with the year in between, just very similar to the kindergarten / pre-Ks that we're doing now, the 4. So they'll be done, not this summer because we just started, the next summer. And then the next 6 start next summer, following in 27, they'll be completed. And then we'll have a next wave after that. It looks like around 4 schools from what Mr. Kane is planning for that phase, but we'll have other discussions on those needs as we move along. And then we're not sure if we're going to do any past those 4 right now. But that's what he wanted to start with as a number. But in the planning department, I'm not hip on everything that happens there. That's Mr. Kane's, expertise. But that's how we're doing them right now. It's tough to do them all at once. You wouldn't have enough contractors that could do it, obviously. So we're doing it in phases.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anything else? All right, thank you very
No
much.
problem. Thank you. Got it.
Next on the agenda is public comments. Mr. Whistler.
Thank you. To have an orderly presentation of comments by the public, the following guidelines apply. Speakers with a connection to CCPS will be allowed to address the board for the allotted 3 minutes. Only those that have registered online and have been notified by the Communications Department will be permitted to speak. Priority will be given to those citizens that are addressing the board about an item on the current agenda. Citizens not appearing in person for public comment can write the board through email or U.S. mail. Public participation is not intended to be a question-answer session. However, if citizens do have specific questions, the superintendent will assign a staff member to make contact during the board meeting to arrange a time to respond to questions. The superintendent and board reserve the right to correct misinformation presented as factual at the conclusion of the public participation period. Statements to the board should relate to a recent agenda item, an agenda item that is expected to appear in the future, or a matter of general policy over which the board has authority. Personnel matters, pending appeals, the actions or statements of individual staff, or items related to employee negotiations are not appropriate topics and may not be discussed. The board has scheduled time on the agenda for public participation at approximately 5:15 p.m., a little early tonight. The board reserves the right to limit the number of speakers on a particular topic so that all topics may be addressed. Additionally, the board retains the discretion to allow additional speakers as it deems appropriate. The board is allowing no more than an hour for public participation. Comments are limited to 3 minutes or less. All comments should be directed to board members at the dais. Citizens may only address the board with their individual comments. Citizens may not stand in for another person or group and read their comments. When the allotted time expires, the speaker is permitted to complete a sentence. Citizens may leave any handouts for board members on the table at the back of the boardroom. Please do not approach the dais. Additionally, the public may not display signs or posters during the board meeting. In lieu of signs, or if you are unable to complete your comments in the allotted time, individuals are encouraged to submit remarks to the board in writing. Those seated in the audience are asked to be respectful of the speaker and refrain from commenting to the speaker or to the board members. We have 4 scheduled speakers tonight, but one indicated she cannot attend, so we have 3. Our first speaker tonight is Mr. Brian Schaefer. Thank you, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you, Board. I want to congratulate you all on having designed potentially the worst early enrollment and dual credit program in the state. Currently, the list of courses that you've provided is as such you can check off and say, yes, we meet the state requirement to offer early enrollment and dual enrollment and early college credit. However, anyone pursuing that particular set of courses as a associate's degree would be foolish to do so. So you can say that we offer it, but no student would actually take advantage of this. To say it's the worst in the state is an understatement. I implore the board to look at any other county and what they're offering and follow that instead of what you've chosen to support. To give a few examples, students are required to complete all their health and financial ed requirements before going into that program. Yet, there are 2 more health courses and another financial lit course in that set of curriculum. There are no calculus. There is algebra, even though they've already completed 2 years of it. There is no pre-calculus. There is no physics. There's no engineering. There's no comp sci in that. So I really want to ask whoever came up with that what they were thinking. The best thing it lined up to was a sociology degree. If you look at the requirements of a sociology degree at University of Maryland, it requires calculus. They can't take it here. Lined up to that, if you asked how many credits would transfer over and actually meet degree requirements for a sociology course, less than half. So you've created a program that wastes a lot of very valuable time at this level while ensuring that nothing is actually accomplished. Congratulations.
Mr. King, could you meet Mr. Schaefer in the lobby and get more information? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Josh Wilhide.
Recently, good evening, everyone. I took a summer hiatus, but I'm back. Recently, according to the Carroll County Times, you, the CCPS Board of Education, ratified a contract alongside the teachers union that delayed the cost of living and step increases for staff by 1 full year. This sends the wrong message to people who are the backbone of our education system. Our fabulous teachers in Carroll County deserve more than words of appreciation. They deserve fair pay with proper cost of living adjustments and their step increased as promised. This is a decision that will have direct impacts on the teacher morale, retention, and ultimately the quality of education of our school and students. Let's be clear, currently, for better or for worse, the state obviously has no extra funding. But Carroll County does have the money already collected from our taxes. The unassigned fund balance for the county is currently at $24.5 million. On top of that, they've created a new slush fund policy, which still does not have a name or formal policy as of last week, has set aside an additional $26.8 million. That's over $51 million of our tax dollars that we have available for immediate use. And that according to Ted Zaleski, the county budget's director's own words, and I quote, The commissioners have total discretion on how to use those funds and is an intent to provide flexibility for unexpected changes, end quote. Well, keeping our great teachers in our classroom isn't unexpected, but it is essential. I also want to say that I'm concerned by the lack of outcry across the board. It is our job as a community to stand firmly with our teachers and make sure that the administration fears the collective power of the teachers and not the teachers fearing the administrators. Continue to fail to pay our teachers will hurt CCPS's ability to attract and retain. Our children's education depends on the experience and dedicated professionals, and these professionals need to know that their hard work will be recognized and paid for. I urge everyone listening tonight to email the Board of Education and tell them to go make a request to the commissioners for some of that $51 million. I also urge everyone to email the county commissioners and tell them to use our tax dollars that we, the people, want to have our tax dollars spent. Because Carroll County has made it clear through the outcry over Blueprint that we stand with our schools as a top priority for our community. I yield my time back.
Thank you, Mr. Wilhide. Our next and final speaker is Mr. Gary Foote.
Good afternoon, board members, and welcome to August. Pumpkin spice products are returning to a convenience store near you. Back-to-school ads have been playing for a month for anyone who still bothers with network television. If you have not already done so, you will soon be wishing good luck to our fall sports programs. Halloween candy displays have been constructed in the local supermarkets. But schools in Carroll County will once again not start until after Labor Day. How quaint. My aunt is preparing for her 60th high school class reunion, and nostalgia is certainly an appropriate sentiment for that evening. But it is not an effective way to run a school system. Starting school after Labor Day should have long since gone the way of music videos on MTV or dial-up internet on AOL. And yet, we persist. Every year, you insist on trading several weeks of potentially high-energy, high-engagement school days in August for low-energy, almost zero-engagement events in June. By that time, state tests are over, AP exams are complete, graduation has moved on, and our students somehow are expected to keep coming to school, enthusiasm leaking out of the whole scenario like a deflating balloon. A past board president with 40 years of experience in the classroom once noted in this very room that nothing good in public schools ever happens after Memorial Day. You have annually chosen to ignore this sound advice. A noted philosopher and futurist recently wrote about today's students and advised them to pay no attention to the adults in their schools. They mean well, the adults that is, but the pace of change in the 21st century is so rapid that these adults have long since stopped keeping up. I don't agree with that conclusion, but it is hard to argue with him when we fail to update our views on something as basic as a school calendar. What we cling to is a relic from the 19th century. I urge you to reconsider.
Thank you, Mr. Foote, and that concludes public participation.
All right. Next, we have employee groups. I remembered.
Just had a quick check who's first. Okay, good evening, Dr. McCabe and school board members. Today I had the opportunity to observe the Towson University and CCPS induction program mentor orientation. It's exciting to see this collaboration begin, and I believe this program will help Carroll County support and retain educators hired. I appreciate Dr. McCabe's kind words acknowledging the collaboration between CCA and CCPS as we implement the blueprint. A teacher induction program is essential for Carroll to fully implement the career ladder and to ensure educators can grow and thrive as professionals here in Carroll County. I also like the fact that even the mentors get mentors. A few weeks ago, Carroll County, or CCA, once again scooped ice cream on what felt like the hottest day of the year at the 4-H FFA fair. It was an awesome opportunity to support Carroll students outside the classroom. I had the privilege of judging some of the crafts, and as a former 4-H'er, I love seeing the creativity of our children and the fact that the grand champion managed to create a masterpiece flower arrangement out of pipe cleaners that I would never have thought possible. Educators, I know the back-to-school displays have been in stores for over a month now. However, I want to remind educators that it is not our responsibility to buy supplies for our classrooms. If it's in the curriculum, it's the county's responsibility, not yours. Your paycheck shouldn't be the budget for your classroom. Every book, every resource, every material tied to the curriculum is part of what CCPS is funded to provide. When you buy it yourself, you're quietly covering the funding gap that must be fixed. If you need curriculum-related items, you should be requesting those through your department chairs or your team leaders, administrators, or supervisors. I want to reiterate what I said back in June. Stop spending your own money to make up for what the system is not funding. The supplies needed by our students should not be your burden. As educators, we are not fundraisers and we are not donors. We are public servants. We do appreciate the help of local organizations such as Shepherd Staff for collecting school supplies. This was the first time I didn't win anything at bingo, but it was still a good time. I would like to acknowledge all the other organizations that are helping the backpack program. They're really too numerous to list, but the backpack program, when I was at bingo, I did learn it's like a $95,000 program that they're running to get supplies for our kids. This Saturday, August 23rd, Carroll County Kids Fun Fest is happening at the Farm Museum from 11 to 3, and they're going to collect toiletries for our students. Again, another great opportunity to support our students. As the new year begins, let's put ourselves in our students' shoes as they learn concepts for the first time. Our role is to encourage them, support them, and help them push past the moments they feel like giving up. Struggle and discomfort aren't signs of failure. They're often the catalyst for the greatest growth. And while hard work, practice, and perseverance are essential, they don't guarantee first place, blue ribbons, or top honors, and that is okay. As Vince Lombardi said, perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. Thank you.
Good evening, Superintendent McCabe and members of the Board of Education. I'm Cindy Porter, a 26-year veteran education support professional, currently working as a special education paraprofessional in Carroll County Public Schools. I am also the president of CASE, representing clericals and assistants working in our school system. While it seems to many that the summer break has come and almost gone in the blink of an eye, many of us know that much work has been done over that time to help our school system successfully head into the coming year. And as we head into this coming year, there are many uncertainties involving our federal, state, and local funding. In spite of those uncertainties, we still have students coming to and through our doors with significant needs, economically, socially, and academically. As a few examples of the economic and social needs, the Giant Nourishing Our Youth Roundup program just donated close to $9,500 to the Unpaid Meal Debt Charity Fund of CCPS. Thanks to Giant Martins and the generosity of our community members who shop there. This fund helps pay for all children to receive school meals, regardless of their ability to pay in our lunchrooms each day. And as Celeste said, on Saturday, August 23rd, from 11 to 3 at the Carroll County Farm Museum, the Carroll County Kids Fun Fest will be collecting toiletry donations for our students in need. And the Boys and Girls Clubs of Carroll County are going to be able to expand their mental health and wellness efforts to support 630 students in the 5 club locations across our county, thanks to a $400,000 grant to support social emotional development for those students. While this grant comes from the Maryland Consortium on Coordinated Community Supports and the Maryland Community Health Resources Commission, the grant from those organizations is funded by the Maryland General Assembly through the Blueprint for Maryland's Future. Yes, the same blueprint that's being blamed for all the financial woes of our school system, county, and state. And these obvious needs are before our school system staff even begin to address the academic needs of our students. To help address the academic needs of our students, 8 early dismissal days have been added to our calendar this year. These days are designed to provide more professional learning and more self-directed time for certificated licensed staff. Many in our case bargaining unit work directly with students and students with additional academic needs. It is my sincere hope that we, as a school system, will be able to capitalize on this opportunity for the education support professionals working with these students by also providing applicable professional learning and other meaningful professional development opportunities for student support assistants, instructional assistants, security assistants, paraprofessionals, and other members of our bargaining unit who could benefit. As always, CASE is ready to be a contributing partner to help make these opportunities as meaningful as possible. In closing, as I head into my 27th year, I can't help but look back on my career in education so far. I've seen staff in our school system go above and beyond for students time and time again over the years, and I know without a doubt the same will happen again this year. As I have said many times before, educators in our school system want nothing more than to see our students succeed. But it will truly take all of us putting differences aside and working together to make that happen, especially with the anticipated funding cuts that will absolutely impact our students. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes employee groups. And real quick, Celeste, I don't know if you heard, but apparently this is the year of the COVID babies. All the COVID babies are entering kindergarten. Saw that meme and I was like, oh, kindergarten teachers are like, oh no. All right, next item, we're moving on to action items. So first, we have 6A. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Whistler. Second by Ms. Zimmer. Dr. McCabe.
By policy, August is the month when we bring for action the memberships of the 7 board-appointed councils. Items 6A through 6G are the recommended memberships for each council. We would need a motion and an action on each individual item or committee.
All right. So for 6A, Family Life Committee, I call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. I have a motion for 6B, approval of the Carroll County Special Education Citizens Advisory Committee membership.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Dorsey. Second by Ms. Zimmer. Any comments or questions? I call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Next, I have 6C, approval of the Carroll County Security Advisory Council membership. Do I have a motion? Moved by Dr. Malvo. Second by Mrs. Zimmer. Any comments or questions? All right, I call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Next, I have the approval of the Carroll County Career and Technology Education Local Advisory Council membership. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Dr. Dorsey, second by Mr. Whistler. Any comments or questions? All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And passes unanimously. Next, I have item 6E, approval of the Carroll County Curriculum Council. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Dorsey. Second by Ms. Zimmer. Any comments or questions? I call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. Next, we have the approval of the Carroll County Teacher Advisory Council membership, 6F. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Malvo. Second by Ms. Zimmer. Any comments or questions? I call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. Next is the approval of the Carroll County Community Advisory Council, agenda item 6G. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Dorsey. Second by, Dr. Malvo. Any comments or questions? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. Board members, I just want to comment. I want to say thank you to each of you who serve on these committees. I think it is really important that we do show, we are out there in the community and we are, bringing information back, and also getting education ourselves on what is going on within, whether career and tech, within the community, or within our teachers' thoughts. And so I just wanted to say thank you for serving on those committees.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have the approval of the award of bids. Dr. McCabe will go over everything. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Dorsey. Second by Mr. Whistler. Dr. McCabe.
There are only 2 items on the award of bids this month. The first one is for an emergency vapor barrier and pipe replacement for Century High School. This is to inform you that emergency procurement was required to repair leaking pipes at Century High. And secondly, commercial cleaning equipment and custodial supplies. This is a contract to purchase cleaning products and supplies as required through 2030.
All right. Any comments or questions? I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. I have a motion for item 6I, approval of Baltimore Board of Officials for Women's Sports BBOWS volleyball contract. Moved by Dr. Malvo. Second by Mr. Whistler. Dr. McCabe.
With the school year almost here, we are bringing the annual contract to provide officials for all home contests for the volleyball season.
Any comments or questions? I call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. All right, spike the ball. Here we go. All right, next we have JG, approval of appointments. Moved by Dr. Dorsey. Second by Mr. Whistler. Dr. McCabe.
Tonight, we have 4 appointments for your approval. The first is Erica Airing, who was a mentor teacher at Westminster Elementary, moving to assistant principal at Eldersburg Elementary. Secondly, Ashley Boumel, who was an instructional technology resource teacher in technology services, to assistant supervisor of health education in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction. Next, Rachel McCusker, who was a music teacher at Linton Springs Elementary, to acting assistant principal at Linton Springs Elementary. And lastly, Erin Scott, a school counselor at Mount Airy Elementary, to acting assistant principal at Mount Airy Elementary.
Any comments, questions? All right, I call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. Next, we have item 6K, approval of personnel action items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Whistler,
I'll second.
second by Dr. Dorsey. Dr. McCabe.
Our staff and our HR team have been recruiting and hiring all summer for the upcoming school year. The personnel action items for tonight include 44 new hires, 2 retiree rehires, 1 release from contract, 1 promotion, 12 leaves of absence, 9 increases in FTE, and 7 decreases in FTE.
Any comments or questions?
Just a question before we vote. I hate to put you on the spot, Dr. McCabe. I usually ask you in closed, how many vacancies are we looking at as we approach the beginning of the school year? How many do we have running so far? If you could go over that with us.
we thought you might ask.
I
so
always do. I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Diaz, could you come up and share that
Thank
information?
you, sir.
Good evening, board members, Dr. McCabe. Let me start this way. So first, we're excited to welcome 105
I love
new educators to Educator Orientation Week tomorrow morning
Love it.
at Winters Mill High School. And then they'll go through the first few stages and hear all kinds of information as new employees. The current vacancies we have, and this number is always very fluid. So even when I wrote this down, it's probably changed by 1 or 2 here or there. So we have 10 teacher vacancies at this time.
Okay.
We're confident that we'll have those filled by the first day for students.
All right, yeah, that's been the norm. But yeah, they usually come in at the end looking great, so I appreciate that information. I'm sorry I forgot to ask earlier. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any more questions or comments? All right, a call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. It passes unanimously. And the last item on the agenda is 6L, approval of FY 2025 operating budget transfer. Do I have a motion? Moved by Dr. Malvo. Have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Dr. Dorsey.
We are winding down the FY25 process, closing out all transactions, and getting ready for the annual audit. Based on that work, we bring you, for your approval, one final year-end transfer from other major categories into the 2 categories associated with facilities management, plant operations, and plant maintenance. As with all budget transfers across major categories, this action will move next to the county commissioners. Just one last comment. You'll recall that each year for many years, when we present on the budget during development, we note a few areas of ongoing pressure. One of those is in facilities maintenance, which is an area from which we reduced $2.5 million over the decade of budget cuts preceding the pandemic. The reality is we operate our maintenance operations in a very tight manner given that reality. While the board tries to offset that loss by periodically adding surplus to a local CIP project known as infrastructure renewal, this type of process is now our norm. So I just wanted to give that background on why this item is on the agenda tonight and most likely will continue to be on future agendas.
All right. Any questions or comments? All right, I call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. All right. We have nothing under discussions and nothing under unfinished. So, board members, our next meeting will be on Wednesday, September 10th, 2025 at 4 p.m. here in the boardroom with public participation, 125 North Court Street in Westminster. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Dr. Dorsey and a second by Mr. Whistler. All those in favor? Aye. Everyone have a wonderful first day of school, fall sports, tryouts, music and art productions. Have a good night.